Elon Musk founded SpaceX to fulfill his long-term ambition of building the first human colony on Mars. The first revolutionary transportation system SpaceX built for that purpose was the Starship. After recently revealing that the Starship is now ready for orbital flights, Elon Musk and SpaceX are now turning attention to building a bigger and better spaceship, the Starship 2.0, which will revolutionize the space travel industry. SpaceX Starship 1.0 is insane. At 120 meters tall, the Starship and Super Heavy duo is the tallest space rocket ever built, even taller than NASA's Saturn V moon rocket. The Starship's diameter of 9 meters is also wider than any other orbital spacecraft. Due to these unprecedented dimensions, Starship will transport large amounts of cargo, giant celestial observatories, and 100 people in each flight. Starship 1.0 is the most powerful rocket ever developed, and what makes it a truly revolutionary technology is that it makes space travel much more affordable than current technologies at our disposal. Take NASA's SLS, for example, which would cost around $2 billion and send 27 metric tons to Mars. Like all other rockets, SLS is a single-use spacecraft with no method of returning to Earth. The Starship, on the other hand, will cost close to $12 million and has the ability to send 100 metric tons to the Martian surface. However, these costs become largely irrelevant once the Starship starts being reused. So by using a fully reusable system that can be refueled in orbit, Starship is destroying the competition from the likes of NASA and making all substitute launch systems obsolete. This is why NASA is now collaborating with Elon Musk and has chosen Starship to be the first crewed lunar lander for its Artemis program. The program aims to put boots on the moon by 2026, and Elon Musk has given a similar timeline for Starship to start launching people to Mars. However, colonizing Mars isn't a straightforward task. Elon Musk has acknowledged that he will need to transport 1 million humans to the red planet to make it self-sustainable. As the population increases, we will also need to send millions of tons of cargo to Mars to meet the population needs. This means at least 10,000 crewed starships and 100,000 cargo-carrying starships would be required to build a self-sustaining community on Mars. Elon Musk has agreed that with its current specifications, Starship 1.0 may not be enough to turn the dream of a Martian civilization into reality. So what we need is a Starship even bigger than the one about to take off. Fortunately, Elon Musk and SpaceX have now turned attention to a next-generation spaceship, the Starship 2.0, which will be much bigger and much more powerful than its predecessor. According to Elon Musk, Starship 2.0 will be twice as big and will have a diameter of 18 meters. What we will get as a result is an absolutely colossal spaceship, the likes of which have not been seen even in science fiction. Starship 2.0 is planned to be 240 meters tall, more than twice the size of the Statue of Liberty. Meanwhile, doubling the diameter will also help overcome many of the shortcomings of Starship 1.0. A major advantage that will be observed is an increase in surface area. With double the height and diameter, Starship 2.0 will have 8 times more surface area than its predecessor and 9 times the volume. As a result, Starship 2.0 will be able to carry as much as 1,000 metric tons to Mars. So each flight will carry many more people and huge amounts of cargo, making the transition to Mars a lot easier. Building a Mars colony using the current Starship is also less desirable because some of the materials required on Mars may be too heavy for the spaceship. While it can transport a load of 100 tons, a human colony will need things like iron excavators and steel mills. Splitting these massive parts into smaller 100-ton chunks and reassembling them on Mars isn't possible, which is why the Starship 2.0 with a much greater surface area is a better option. Its bigger diameter means that it can fit a lot of things that can't be transported on the Starship 1.0. The launch vehicle will also have 8 times the weight and 8 times the thrust. So where the Starship 1.0 produced 17 million pounds of thrust, the Starship 2.0 will generate thrust well above the 100 million pound mark. In order to generate this insane amount of power, it is more than likely that the Super Heavy engine will also be upgraded to Ultra Heavy 2.0. As of now, 36 Raptor engines power the Starship 1.0. However, with double the diameter and height, Starship 2.0 would require 4 times that number. So it will require close to 150 Raptors for the new spaceship. While this seems like a lot of engines, the cost benefits from such a setting are immense. The Starship 2.0 will take 8 times the payload when compared to the Super Heavy. However, the geometry involved means that we'll need only twice the amount of steel and twice the amount of heat shielding to construct it. Similarly, the task of welding and ring stacking would also be greatly optimized. These costs will only come down in the future as the processes get further optimized. So by the time the mass production for Starship 2.0 rolls in, the manufacturing cost would be less than twice. Another cost-cutting development is the improvement we are about to witness in the production of Raptor engines. For Starship 1.0, one Raptor engine costs about $2 million. However, Elon Musk has promised that with an increase in production and use of 3D technologies, the cost will reduce 10 times. With these low-cost engines, the cost per ton of force would equate to around $1,000. But here's the real difference. Since each engine is designed to be reused around 1,000 times with little maintenance, the true cost per ton would equate to around $1. The bigger and better Starship 2.0 will also have huge launch cost benefits. Elon Musk estimates that the total cost of launching the Starship is $2 million. These costs are divided in half, with $1 million going to fuel and another $1 million to the so-called ground operations. By keeping ground operation costs to the current level, SpaceX will send a much greater payload into space for a fraction of an increase in the total cost. Halving the cost of going to Mars seems like a good idea. Even if we build the right technology, establishing a colony on Mars will remain a major problem because of the astronomical costs involved. Musk himself has focused on affordability as a major factor in ensuring the possibility of Mars colonization. You cannot create a self-sustaining civilization if the ticket price is $10 billion per person. Traveling to Mars on a commercial spaceship in the future may cost millions of dollars according to current estimates. With Starship 1.0 ready for its first orbital flight next month, billionaire Richard Branson has already shown interest to become the first person to travel in it. However, it remains a distant dream for less privileged individuals. Musk, on the other hand, has pledged to take the cost down to $100,000, making a round trip to the Red Planet much more feasible. Elon Musk has compared it to selling a house and moving to a new world. Settling humans on Mars looked like an impossible task not so long ago, but the launch of the super heavy Starship has brought that dream closer to reality. Critics have remained skeptical of Elon Musk's timeline for Mars exploration, calling it too ambitious. However, Elon Musk and SpaceX have already shown that they are capable of achieving heights that no one has scaled before. Starship 2.0 may just be a continuation of this man's ability to achieve the unthinkable.